Hi everyone. In this video, I'm going to talk about one of the important element in contract act. Basically, in the last few videos, I already discussed about what are the various essential elements of making a valid contract. So we already discussed about 10 contracts, 10 elements which makes a contract as a valid contract. In that, one of the important contract element is called as a free consent. This element is talking about when you are getting into a contract, either you are getting an offer or either you are going to accept that offer. So, especially as one of the parties of the contract act, if you are entering into the contract and you are going to accept that offer given by the offerer, right? So, when you are giving your acceptance, there should not be any obligations or restrictions, or there should not be any kind of thought process, right, before giving your acceptance. That means when you are giving acceptance on the particular offer, it ensures that I am just giving my acknowledgement or I am giving my acceptance without having any concern. I don't have any objection in accepting this offer. That is called as a free consent as per the section 13 of Indian Contract Act. But there are five situations are there where we cannot call it as a free consent. What are those five situations? Now, if you see, the first situation is coercion. As per the section 15 of Indian Contract Act, it says that if anybody, apart from the offerer or either offerer or on behalf of the offerer, anybody is threatening you to accept that offer, where you're not interested in that offer, but somebody is threatening on you through offerer or on behalf of offerer in any way, that is called as a coercion. So if anybody is threatening you to accept that offer, that is not considered as a free consent at all. So if you are giving a acceptance on the offer given by the offerer, where you are not giving the acceptance from your end, you are right, you are committed, you are threatened by somebody else to give the acceptance. That is not called as a free consent. So this is the one situation. The second situation called as an undue influence. Now this type of a situation basically occurs right in a common way. So when you are not able to accept or when you are not able to do that, somebody would you influence, right? Somebody would you influence you, like either maybe some political parties, maybe the offerer may know some persons from police department or some person from the government or higher officials or authority who has a power from their end, right? They will try to influence you and make you to accept that offer, where you're not interested, but you're influenced by any of the person who has that power, all this thing that is called as undue influence. Coming to the third category, third situation is misrepresentation. Here, the misrepresentation in the sense is when you're offering certain things to the person to accept your offer, right? For just for the namesake or for making that person to accept your offer, you are giving us some kind of information which is not true, right? Which is not true. Maybe wrongly you would have mentioned that particular information, and to make them to believe something is very attractive, something is very important. But after accepting, only to come to know that reality it is not a actual one. It is just to make you to accept, right? It is just right. It's a kind of a cheating. So misrepresentation is the another thing. Or maybe mistakenly he has done to make you or to influence you to accept that offer. Fourth situation is called as a fraud. As per the section 17 of Indian Contract Act, if you are making any fraud activities, any illegal activities, right, and then you are making the person to accept, that is called as a fraud. So if you are doing this and making the person to accept your offer, it is not considered as a free consent at all. And we have a fifth situation called mistake. So basically, when you are making any agreement or when you are making any document, right? Of course, making a mistake is very common. So here, when you are making a mistake, and with that mistake, either knowingly or unknowingly, you made the person to accept. Later, you're realizing that that is because of mistake. That is also not called as a free consent. In that case, what are the different mistakes can happen? The first one is mistakes of law. Basically, you will not be followed any regulation, or you would have made any mistake in making an agreement to enter into the contract where basically it comes under the mistake of law. That means, as per the Indian Contract Act, as per the Indian law, this should not be there in the document. This particular section column should be there. If you are making any mistake in there, that comes under mistake of law. That means where you are not aware about that particular law, rules, and regulation without knowing that you mentioned certain mistake in the document. Whereas the second type of mistake is mistake by mistake of fact, where it can be done either one of the party or both the party. Where when you are entering into an agreement for a contract, right, there are certain important things that both the end has to be fulfilled. Where you are making some mistake because of that, right, both the end they made a mistake. Because of that, you understood wrongly and you entered the agreement or enter contract, then only you realize it. Now, for example, if you see a person who has to sell a two cars, right, X and Y, but when he's offering, right, he didn't say that I'm going to sell a car X or car Y. Without stating that, he just given a general right proposal to the person B that I want to sell a car to you. But the person who wants to buy a car, thinking that a person A has only one car, and then he accepted. But here, from both the end, there is a mistake. That's why it's called as a bilateral mistake. There is the other type of mistakes called as a unilateral mistake. As per the section 22 of Indian Contract Act, if any one of the party, either offerer or acceptance, any one of the party is making a mistake, right, in making entering into a agreement or a contract, that is comes under unilateral mistake. It can be mostly related to the identification of the parties, or mostly based on the way you are going to create an agreement into for getting into a contract. So a common mistake which can be done or which can happen any one of the side of the parties, either offer or acceptance. That is called as a unilateral mistake. So these are the five situations where we can say that a contract, when you're getting into an agreement has been made when you're getting into a contract where a person is not accepting the contract, right, or accepting the contract based on this five situation, it is not considered as a free consent at all. So this is a very important element which has to be considered under the Indian Contract Act. Right. Thank you so much for listening my video. In the next video, we can discuss about the classification of contract. Thank you.